Indeed, on August 14th of this year, when I replied to the budget, I said then that the measures were ill-conceived and indeed they were unlikely to work. We said then that we would wait and see. We did not want to create any problems or indeed stand in the way of government as they sought on the third occasion to try and get it right. Today, regrettably, we saw. This is the third failure. And this is one that comes after the medium-term fiscal strategy, the revised medium-term strategy, and now the August budget. Nothing said today will change the free fall of the Barbados economy. The latitude and the longitude are the same. The storm is still coming. Today was an arithmetical necessity, putting numbers together to prevent the International Monetary Fund from saying internationally what we already know locally. Indeed, speaking at 10 o'clock this morning to meet a 3 p.m. departure of the IMF team on an American Airlines flight. That was what today was about. It was not about restructuring the Barbados economy. It was not about putting us back on track. It was not about growth. It was not even about the people who now will not be able to face Christmas with the confidence that they know where their money will come next year. This was about slowing the process of the International Monetary Fund telling the world what we already know locally. I say clearly that we do not want in any way to say we told you so, because there is too much pain that people will feel from today onwards, because Barbados is still in a crisis. And more to the point, the government of Barbados has betrayed the trust and the mandate of the people of Barbados that they received earlier this year. After the minister's speech, Barbados is no closer to a solution than we were last night, nor is recovery even on the table. And what do I mean by this? And I want people to listen carefully. In 1991, the Erskine-Sandiford administration sent home approximately 4,000 people and cut public servants' salary by 8%. It was done, however, to make a sacrifice that allowed him to secure funding from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the IDB. Today, we have now sent home, announced the sending home of 3,000 civil servants, the freezing of increments for 2 years, the non-replacement of 501 posts in the next 12 months when people go home. And we have not secured a single cent from the IMF, from the IDB, from the World Bank, or from anybody. Indeed, we are not even being able to borrow internationally without the most punitive of terms. What does that mean? That Barbadians are being made to sacrifice without benefit, to sacrifice to no end. We will still have an unsustainable deficit after the minister's speech today. We will still have reserves even after the punitive Credit Suisse loan that has now been reduced from 5 years to 3 years. We will have reserves that will still go into free fall at the end of the first quarter of next year. We have not addressed any issues of competitiveness. We have not addressed any issues of restructuring government spending or the economy. We have not addressed anything else. But above all else, there is still no confidence in the Barbados economy, but more particularly in the Barbados country, in the Barbados government. There is no one who is going to bring money into Barbados after today's speech, nor will there be anyone who is going to risk their money locally, because you cannot see the end in sight. In summary, this government faces not only a fiscal deficit, but a credibility deficit. And let me address quickly the issue of betrayal of trust and mandate. The decision to remove 3,000 public workers, as I said, is the ultimate betrayal of mandate of this government. We have heard over and over ministers say there will be no layoffs, there will be no sell-offs, before, during, and after the election. The Prime Minister led the chorus. We heard him over and over again. Indeed, In October of last year, the Prime Minister told the country on the 29th of October that it would be catastrophic to terminate public sector workers, that it would be a recipe for disaster, and would create additional hardships for Barbadians. That was a direct quote. He was the one who announced after the budget in September that he would overrule the cuts and that you would have to go and find savings, only to tell us in October of 2013 that they had found the savings and that people could rest easy. 5 days ago, a little more than 5 in fact, it was probably a week ago, the Prime Minister said, when asked about cuts and layoffs, who could have said that there would be no layoffs? Well, it was you, Prime Minister, who said so. And what was even more disturbing is that the Prime Minister then proceeded to go to a cabinet meeting to discuss the very same thing that he disavowed knowledge on in the press briefing. Clearly, it is my view and my opinion that Barbadians cannot now trust the word of our Prime Minister. It must be said that this issue has been the central and only focus of thousands of Barbadians before, during, and since the election campaign. It is a sad day in the history of this country that the consequence of the election victory is now to be the massive suffering of 3,000 Barbadians in jobs, but over 30,000 Barbadians ultimately when we start to look at the consequences of the reduction of purchasing power that will be brought upon this economy. I believe that with Christmas less than 2 weeks away, the announcement of these measures will also have a serious impact on the shops and businesses across Barbados, because people will now have to stop and say, how will I secure the future? But worse than that, there is the doubt and there is the fear as to who will be sent home, because they know not who will be one of the 3,000 today. And that this is a matter that is going to seriously affect the well-being and the mental stability of all temporary workers and indeed those in statutory corporations. I want to say that even in this exercise, this government has found it possible to include politics. To say that the majority of workers will come from central government rather than the statutory boards is to be able to protect the majority of people that they have brought on as a government who have been employed in statutory boards. That is what this allocation of cuts is about. And it is strange that it is the statutory boards through transfers and subsidies that has been the largest area of growth of government expenditure by far of any area of government expenditure, but is to receive the least attention in the restructuring exercise which the government announced today. I say it is a bold and bald and naked attempt to play politics. I want equally to say, I'm not sure whose phone this is. Let's press N for Gerson. I want to say ultimately too that we have reached a point in Barbados where it is clear that the country is in serious crisis. And I want to make the very clear point, the person is persistent like others. I want to make the very clear point that it is time for good men and women to stand up and be counted in this country. Yeah. This is not about me and Mottley or the Barbados Labour Party standing alone. Because to do so, it would be about, for most people, us playing politics. This is for all good men and women, including the government members of Parliament now, to stand up for this country. We are playing with serious fire. And the country, as I said, is in crisis. Too many title-carrying individuals remain silent in this country, and they now have to open up their mouths and be counted. We do not want to hear anymore the silent whispers and the private communications. We believe the time is for people to say what they're telling us in private, they must now say in public. Because people believe that when the Barbados Labour Party speaks, its message can be devalued because we are politicians. Well, if 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013 we have said anything to mislead this country, then you can stop listening to us. But if all that we have said continues to come through, including the 3 failed attempts of this government, then I ask the people of Barbados today, listen to us. And I make no other plea of my country people. Listen to us on this one. It is time that Bajans say enough is enough. And I want to signal to my colleagues in the Barbados Labour Party that there will be no Christmas and no turkey and ham for us. This is a working Christmas. And we will go across every sector, every nook and cranny, to alert the people of this country as to the diagnosis and the prognosis that is critical in order for people to understand that it cannot be business as usual in 2014. We will equally have meetings with members of the social partnership and interest groups, and I have asked my executive assistant, Pat Paris, to start this afternoon inviting persons during Christmas week, next week, to be able to meet with us, because they must be told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about the state of the Barbados economy. Because all of us will now stand to be condemned if we allow any further action to continue as it has. What the Minister of Finance did today will solve nothing. And I also want to say that we will start off this process on Sunday night with a public meeting, because we believe that this process of alerting and engaging the country now in the fullest possible manner is the only thing that is required of us as a matter of necessity. I believe as well that once we finish these consultations and movements across the country over the season, that we will announce to the country that I will be addressing Barbadians in a State of the Nation address in January, where we will seek to set out not only our understanding of situation, but indeed also prescriptions that we believe to be absolutely essential in the national interest. It will not be business as usual in 2014. And I give Barbadians that reassurance. I want equally to say that I hope that Barbadians will use this Christmas period to reflect and to recognize that the power lies in their hands. All Barbadians, especially the influential voices, the church, the community groups, the sporting groups, the business sector, the unions, and that all of us will stand together or we will fall together if we do not appreciate that the time has come now for us to claim the power that is ours to stabilize this country. I give you the assurance as I end that the Barbados Labour Party will do its duty by the people of Barbados as we have done for 75 years. And I give you the assurance that in doing our duty, we are not interested in tribalism or tribal politics, that I have already served notice on the members of the Barbados Labour Party that the next few years will be solely and only about Barbados. We have hope, we have trust, and we have confidence in the Barbadian spirit and people. And I ask the people of Barbados to reflect upon these things over the season and to come renewed when we address you in early 2014 to ensure that we will not be innocent bystanders of all kinds of outside influences, but we will be masters of our fate and captains of our soul. Thank you.